How are we all? Right, I've been struggling to get hold of worms for the axolotls. The people I usually use have been out of the extra large. My other suppliers didn't have any in. I finally ordered large, but to be honest, they've arrived and they're more like small. Well, medium. Medium, that would be fair. So I think these guys are going to be a little bit disappointed. But they are hungry. I need to get them some food. So we've had a kilo of these arrive, which is a decent amount. So as you can see, Jax is there waiting. And we've got Jelly Bean around here looking quite interested. Hey, Jelly Bean. Hi, mate. So they've been busy this week trashing the place. It's no good nodding at me, Jax. I know it's you. So the little mini forest is doing okay. That is surviving quite all right. So I really want to add to this. Like I said last time, I want to buy some more plants, some Java ferns and some Anubias, and really sort of expand this forest, possibly take it almost to the back of the tank there. This piece of wood here I want planted up with moss, but I'm really struggling to get hold of that at the moment. And then look at what they've done. These I'd left in the pots to try and give them half a chance. They've pulled them all out. They were all sat nice and neatly behind the terracotta pots. Look at what they've done to my Java ferns. Oh, you guys. Hey? So we're looking slightly trashed at the moment. Java ferns everywhere. So I think I might even end up... That one I've planted in the sand at the front has done okay. So I think I'm going to be doing the same thing with the others, in fairness. Because you guys are absolute hooligans. Actually, Jelly Bean, I've got to be fair. You're not so bad. Although you do have a habit of landing in the plants when you go for a swim. You, on the other hand, are an absolute thug. Yeah, you, Jax. You might be very, very cute. And I do love you, but you are a thug. Right, let's have a look at getting some worms then, because they're all escaping from the pot. So I have pulled out the largest of them. Yes, don't panic, you've got a nice large worm. I'll just pop you there for a minute with Jax whilst I get some. Now the trouble is, the first one that gets a worm upsets the others. So this is a little bit of an issue. Let's take a couple. I might even try putting them in front of Jelly Bean first today, because Jax don't have a tantrum. Look, it's proper tantrum from him. Don't have a tantrum, Jax, because he'll be less likely to get upset. So let's pop some down in front of Jelly Bean. And there's complete anticlimax. He's obviously not hungry, so that's fine. Let's leave you with him. Oh, there we go. And there we go. Well, that was one worm very quickly eaten. He made short work of that, didn't he? So he grabbed, I put 3 in. I think I put 3 in. I'll have to check back on the footage. He grabbed 2 and he's eaten at least 1 of them. So he obviously was hungry. And that is unusual for him, because it's not often that he comes up to the front of the tank actually like that. So he really must have been hungry. Now the trouble is, we've now lost Jax to the back of the tank. So I'm just going to give him a moment, because I'd rather he came up to the front if possible, because it's definitely easier to feed with him up the front. Are you feeling a bit pleased with yourself, Jelly Bean? Yeah, you're going to flap your floofs at us, are you? Was that very nice, wormies? So that is one content-looking axolotl. And he says, I don't care what size those worms were. It was tasty. So for those of you who haven't sort of followed us or subscribed to us before, this is Jellybean, and he was my rehome during COVID, or just after COVID times, when people who'd got them to keep them sort of company realised that they can actually be quite hard work, particularly if you keep them in a small aquarium, they're hard work. So unfortunately, Axolotl and Reptile Rescue have got so many. I have my 2 established boys, Lottie, who's hiding at the back there and about to get sat on by Jellybean. You know, sit on him. And Jax, who we saw earlier. They were my 2 established boys that I've had from them being 6 months old. I don't know whether to go around and give Jax a worm where he is. We should be able to see him. So, I'm going to spend quite a while with you guys today. Let's get some more worms. And I'm going to put quite a lot of worms in. So let's go round through the forest. Jax is round in this corner. You're really not at the best angle to see, mate, are you? So I'm going to put the worms in, avoiding this plant if we can. Yeah, well, that's the trouble, Jax. Because you're hidden in the corner, that's better. There we go, he's happy. He's got a wormy. So you can see, because these are slightly smaller worms than usual, they're eating them very quickly. So there we go, he will... It is a shame he's round the back of the tank here, he's not so easy to see. But he will come back for more later, because that won't keep him full for long at all. So if we come back round the front here, now the worms are escaping. Worm escape, worm escape. So I'm just going to have to get them in the tank and go from there. I've possibly got a few too many out. But again, for those of you who don't follow me, I feed 2 or 3 times a week, and I feed way more than they can eat in one sitting. That way, I know that they all get enough worms. If, say, I was to think each axolotl eats 2 worms a day, if I were only to give them, or say 1 worm a day, if I gave them 3 worms a day, 1 axolotl would end up eating 2, and another one wouldn't get any. So by putting worms in like this, you've got a slight risk that a couple of days later you might have to take out the odd dead one, but it really doesn't happen often. I'm giving them more than usual today because they haven't had a feed for 6 days now. Right, so let's see if we can come in here. See if he wants any more. He might well not. Jellybean doesn't always eat more than 1 in a go, and he's the one in particular is the reason that I put them in gradually, because he's more likely to come back and want 1 later. Lottie is hiding at the back there. That's unusual. I thought he'd want to be forward for a feed. You see there's bits floating down. It's the downside of having live plants. They keep the water beautifully, but you do get bits of debris on the plants, and it needs a bit of a clean out. Right, so Lottie is just detecting that there are worms around. So is he going to manage to reverse himself out of where he is? Hello. Right, let's move you so you can see. Hiya. Right, well, Lottie, talk about making an appearance. So I've now got Jellybean contemplating the word over there. I will get a few more. We'll put them in front of Lottie. Let's see if he's hungry. That was a rubbish aim from me. So he will have to go hunting for them. Or they'll just feed themselves into his mouth, as they have a tendency to do. There we go. So he was hungry. Right, I am just going to have to put the rest of those worms in because they are escaping out the tub. So let's put those over the front here. They can sometimes be a little bit funny with the first delivery of worms because they've come in the substrate from the people I buy them from, and they prefer them to have come from our own soil. Fussy little monkeys, aren't they? I don't pander to them. I don't dangle things on tongs in front of their nose. I used to because I thought it was what you had to do. And then when I got Jelly Bean from the rescue, I said, well, how do you have time to do all that each time? Of course we don't. So it's perfectly acceptable, and it's better for them to put them in so that they have to go hunting for them. I've got Jax just through the forest here, trying to decide whether here's another one or not. Jelly Bean ate those first two so quickly. Oh, he's even debating having a third. If you think about it, we'll stay with him for a minute. It's lovely to see Jelly Bean up here, because he really is the one that we don't tend to see so much of. The ones I had from youngsters were used to sort of lights going on for feeding time and things, so they've always come up front for feeding. Whereas Jelly Bean, it's just taken that bit longer. But he really is lovely. It's a real treat to see him up close like this, isn't it, little man? Gorgeous eyes, isn't he? And he naturally has smaller floofs. They just are how they are. I don't think it's because he's a rescue. I think he came from quite a nice home. I think it is just how they are. Whereas Lottie always has the most impressive. I think you're full. Just leave you there for a minute. Now Jax is just coming around. He's just deciding whether he wants more food, but he's going to have to decide before the worms squiggle away. You haven't got all day, Jax. Lottie has spotted that Jax has got his own hoard of worms around there and is now heading in that direction. So Jax is pondering. He ate a couple very quickly too. Didn't you, mate? So again, he's just having a bit of a think about it.
When fans do bump into you on the street, what do they typically say? Some people know a lot.
Jelly Bean's got no sense of personal space. He's just rammed into Lottie. Oh, you can just see you guys can just about see Lottie behind, can't you? And he's just got his eye. And like I say, he's realised that Jax has got a hoard of worms up here.
Wait, where do I know you from? Where is your face? Wait, are you an actor? Wait, where are you in? Tell me. We'll just tell. Oh, I haven't seen it.
What do we think? Is he going to? Is he going to go for another one? Now that's the trouble because of where he's stuck himself. Oh, I can move you out a bit. There we go. Decision time. What do you think, Jax? Can you manage dessert? Or have you had too many? He's just permanently covered in sand at the moment. I usually use equal quantities of black and white and the white, and they mix up really nicely. And I put the white in last this time. You can't decide, can you? And yeah, so I put the white in last this time. And he's just permanently covered in sand. There you go. So he said, yeah, I am hungry. I do want more food. And you'll notice they do tend to grab the worms and then go back into some of the denser area to eat them. There you go, he says, I've just got to get it right angle. Right, he's just backed up into the others, so we'll come back round the front, leave him with his worm, and see what... Jellybean, I said you were innocent earlier, and that you don't trash the plants. I might change my mind, you know. Maybe you're not quite as innocent as you look. Jax is still doing battle with his worm over there. He's jumping around loads. He moves around loads when he's eating, which is what upsets the others. And that's why I tried feeding Jellybean first today. Look at him tracking his worm. This is why I love giving them a varied sort of tank. It may not look at its best at the moment. It does need a bit of a clean out, which you will find after, because it had its big clean out not that long ago. You find a few weeks after that, the debris that you brought to the surface, obviously you didn't get it all out. So I do need to go back through all of this and get some more debris out. Jax, you really can't actually manage that one, can you? You've eaten so much, you're full. I've got Jellybean just deciding over here whether he can manage another one or not. So like I say, I only feed, and there'll be times where I leave mine a week without feeding. If it's more than a week I'm away for, I get someone in to feed them for me. And I've got a lovely lady who thankfully doesn't mind. But that is part of the reason I have axolotls over tropical fish. I love tropical fish, but they are a lot more work. These guys being cold water, if the power goes off while I'm away, it's not the end of the world. They'll be without a filter. I'll come back to a bit of scruffy tank, but they'll be absolutely fine. I can leave them, like I say, for a week without eating. So it does make them much, much easier to look after than tropical fish. In my opinion, other people might think differently. But again, having a bigger tank makes keeping them easier because it keeps its own system going. Parameters stay good. Sorry, I'm just looking down. We've got Puppy takes a lot longer to eat his chews. Oti, come away. Oti gets quite upset because she eats hers a lot quicker. You monkey, he hasn't had any more than you. He's just slower. Yes, you.
What is your favorite movie memento aside from the jump? They gave me a batarang, like the real one.
Hey, Jelly Bean.
That was pretty cool.
You can't decide what you're up to, can you?
I have a batarang. I actually have a batarang. Yes.
So yeah, I need to get planting. I need to make this a lot more scaped. But as you've seen, they do trash everything. All these little pots were sat neatly in those terracotta holes. And they don't look neat or tidy at all now. Hey, he's lurking, aren't you? Are you lurking, Jelly Bean? So it's lovely to see quite a few of you watching today. Do you have axolotls of your own? I love to hear about yours, what they're called, and where you live. Right, he's going to have one more go at that one. He's determined to have dessert. Whether he's hungry or not. I know that feeling. You know when you're at a restaurant and you've eaten until you're comfortably full, but the food's so good that's on offer, you just can't resist. That's a bit how he is. That gives you an idea of his length, actually. Head here. Look where his tail is. He's 12 inches long. I think he's actually gone 12 and a half now. And this is partly why he sort of is a bit of a thug. I don't think he's actually aware of his own length. Okay, right, he's finally managed his pudding. It took some doing, but he was determined. Oh, not quite. Okay. Got these two having a debate down here. Jelly Bean and Lottie do spend a lot of time together, which is nice to see. Right, I think that's where we finished most of their food. I'm going to stay live for a bit longer, but I'm going to go sit back on the sofa so you'll have a sort of wider view of the whole tank rather than these close-ups. But I need to go and sit comfortably for a while. I am going to experiment more with using a GoPro for lives. At the moment, I'm struggling a little bit with it. So that will do. And that is my view of an evening. And I don't think it's a bad view at all. If they come back up the front, we'll go back and get some more close-ups. If they're going to stay at the back like that, I might as well sit back as well. Good girl, Lottie. Good girl. I know he's still eating and you're not. It's not fair, is it? So this tank is an Aqua Oak one. It was a big upgrade from my previous tank, which I knew I'd need to do. Because the tank they were in was fine as two sort of 6-month-old babies, but they were always going to outgrow it. And this is realistically my ideal tank. This was my treat to myself during lockdown. I'd moved into the house. I'd barely met anyone in the area because it all went weird. I was still working. I was working long, long hours, doing a lot of overtime because basically there was nothing else to do and quite a lot of people were ill. I was ill myself. And I thought, right, now's the time. And I had a lovely neighbour, and in one of the sort of times we were allowed to do things, we masked up and we brought this into the house because the delivery people wouldn't bring it in. So it sat in my garage until I could have helped bring it in. And it's 4 foot by length, 3 foot high, 2 foot wide. And I think it's just about ideal. Some people say you don't need the height for the axolotls, and technically you might not, but they come from lake. It's not as though they come from little streams. They do come from a lake. So as long as you provide different height levels for them, my 3 can certainly swim up the top to get air if they want to, very easily. And if they couldn't go the whole way, they could balance on top of any of the pots. I will put their soap dish back in because I think that's just missing from this right front corner. If I pop the soap dish back in there. I'm still debating bringing the other branch in. If I can plant them both up with moss, that will look super. Yeah. I'm pleased with the tank. There's so much more I could do. Like I say, I want a lot more live plants in. If the little hooligans don't keep trashing them. The more live plants I have, though, the harder it is to clean them out, obviously, because I don't want to disturb them too much. I played around with planting plants on slate. Hey, gorgeous. You Luke. And that worked quite nicely. So that might be something I could go back to. If I plant the plants onto slate, or like I say, on the branches, it works really well, or on rocks, things that you can take out, that does work. See, those worms have dispersed pretty quickly. They've all gone towards the back of the tank and into plants. And the axolotls will keep hunting for them now. You can just see Lottie at the back there has started going off to see if he can find the worms that Jack's had. Yeah, there we go, he's off. Let's head back over as he's on the move. Okay. Jax is looking very satisfied and full and pleased with himself, whereas Lottie is sort of still debating going back for more. And the worms have ended up mainly in this back corner. So if he moves forwards again, I'll take you around the other side. Jax's floofs are looking quite scruffy at the moment, but I find it's nothing to do with parameters or anything else because you can see Lottie's looking very well. It just is how they are at times. Right, Lottie, you're being a bit silly and deciding whether you can actually get over that bit of branch, which we know you can very easily. But it's like, is it worth the effort? Do I really want another worm that much? If he's coming over, let's take you round the other side. There we go, we can spy on him and see whether he decides to come and get anything else to eat. This basically is what axolotls do. If you want really high level entertainment, They're probably not pets for you. I thoroughly enjoy watching them.
This jersey. I have the belt that I wore all during hair. Yeah, I have it. I literally, sometimes I still pull it out. Like the belt boot changed a little bit. I still hang out with Brittany. I see her. She's amazing right now. 17 again. I don't have that wig anymore. I wish I did. I have the denim jacket from Time Dance, or at least I'm reliably informed on getting it next because I campaigned very, very hard for it. And I need to put that in.
I think I've only taken two things from Game of Thrones and nothing from anything else. I took my corset because it just brought me clearly so much joy and it was so comfortable. And a scroll from the last season. It was more about like Euron Greyjoy's fleet and Missandei was captured and Dragon was killed. They kept that one. I don't actually, it's in
That's where I keep on.
yeah, it's where everyone keeps their scrolls and they're really good.
I make an effort to kind of collect always a piece of something from a movie.
Hold on. What is Bastion like? Crush your enemies. See them driven before you. And hear the lamentation of the world.
So I have my common outfit,
That gives a telecom for me.
blue powder outfit from the villain.
Boy, you don't. But it's easy for you to say. This is freeze, you know what?
Yeah,
Let's kick some ice.
one or two outfit from twins.
Yes, we are.
All the company movies, the pants, the jacket, the t-shirt, all that stuff. Now, and in various different stages. At first it's a clean jacket, then obviously there's a few bullet holes in it, then it is if you have a white button motorcycle, the sleeve is ripped off, also the arm gets ripped off.
What mementos did you get to this film?
How are we doing? He really can't decide, can he? Make a decision for us, Lottie. Otherwise we'll go and have a look at someone else. I've got Jax posing in front here.
Oh, you're a smart professional. So, for Radio 1's Movies Week, I've picked out my favourite answers to some of my favourite questions. Ones that I ask almost everyone.
Definitely a waiting game, isn't it?
When fans do bump into you on the street, stop you on the street, bump into you on the street, what do they tend to say? What? Shout. Fans typically say to the street on this one.
Oh, you, I'm famous.
Definitely a lot of our coffee forever.
So he has grabbed a worm I hadn't even seen was there. So there's me looking at the ones in this corner, and he'd seen one much closer to him. Let's just take us around the other side. There we go. I will say my lot are all very good. They don't seem to snatch from one another. Some people do have issues with that. But basically, as long as your axolotls are the same size and you feed plenty at a time like I do, it shouldn't be an issue. Having said that, with Lottie that close to Jax, if that worm did wiggle round to his mouth, I wouldn't blame him for taking a grab.
I still get, oh my god, it's Donna from Neighbours. Somehow.
Jax, are you trying to steal the limelight?
Oh yeah.
See ya. It is a bit like having a mini wildlife documentary. Right, so he's now just upset Jellybean by reversing into him. This is what trashes the plants. They do have no spatial awareness. So when they're concentrating on their food and eating, like he is now. Okay, we've had some secretion come out of that worm. That's why he took a bit longer to eat it. Let's put you there for a minute. With Jellybean, who is very upset because he was quite happily, he's had more than his fill, and he was very happy sort of chilling out until he got rudely reversed into by Lottie. So we've got these two doing dragon poses. They were playing dragons. You can almost see Jack thinking, he's going, well, hold on, I am full. I've eaten as much as I want, but hey, you're eating worms. Maybe I need to as well. And that's when he goes and grabs hold of them and doesn't really want them. Lottie's still just struggling a bit with that one at the back. As much as he wanted it, he's bitten off more than he can eat. He's really changing colour now. But I got them when I moved in, so I reckon they're 4.5. Oh, he was 6 months old when I got him, so they're 5 now. You're struggling with that one, Lottie. So this is where Jax is just debating. Do I go off and find another one because you're eating? Even if I'm not hungry, I might. Jellybean just wants to be left in peace. So in a way of sort of enrichment, you can see how much this gives them. So that's what I try to replicate. Obviously, I know it's an aquarium. I know it's nothing like natural. But if I can provide them with a sort of reasonable natural habitat, I'm happier, and lifestyle. And again, things like not handing them worms on tongs daily, wiggling them in front of their feet, nose. Is a good thing. Right, unless anyone would like me to leave you on. I think it's probably our time. I'll turn this off now. You've seen all 3 of them today, which is quite nice. They've all had a good feed. He's happy in there. These guys are happy playing. It's that time of the evening. See, all you animals between you keep me entertained, don't you? Lossie's finally finished. Oh, Jax is so funny. He's having a bit of a tantrum because someone else is eating. But he's absolutely full. He can't manage another one himself. He did try. Right, I'm going to say goodnight to you all. Thank you very much for joining us. And we'll see you all again soon.